Of the Journey with Joe podcast. Want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Tim over at Comma Insurance. He is the man. I'm super grateful for you, Tim. You're the best. Today, I'm really super excited. I've got MichaelBerdelis here with me. Mr. Downey sold 1,600 plus homes. You think you've seen it all in real estate? Well, Michael has seen probably a lot more than you. Great guy, great father, team leader, runs an office. I honestly don't know how he gets it done in one day. Probably the 2 cell phones he carries all the time. But thank you, Michael, for joining us and spending some time with us. I appreciate it.
You bet. Yeah, I guess the name of the company is 24-Hour Real Estate, so that's how I get it all done. I utilize all 24 hours.
All 24 hours. That's so funny. So we were talking, and I said, first time. So Michael's a big agent, right? Everybody in Downey knows Michael, and you're known throughout LA County. And I was telling you, first time I saw your name, I thought you were a comedian, right? Because you're doing the comedy show for DAOR.
Yes.
And I'm like, comedy show?
That was a long time ago.
I'm like, this Michael guy does comedy,
A little bit.
So real estate agent and comedian?
I guess.
Not anymore?
No.
That's
not really.
Yeah.
I try to do funny videos instead.
Hey, the videos have been funny. The videos
okay.
have been really. World Cup one was really good.
Thank you.
And so, I just was thinking about that. I was like, man, when did I first, hear of Michael and know your name? And so it was that for sure. And then I think that was the last time I heard about comedy, because now it's been all real estate, right? Last couple of years has been craziness with this market. And so, tell me about how you got started in real estate. I know that the 24-hour brand and the family.
Yeah.
Your parents were in the business as well.
Yes.
Right. So tell me a little bit about the brokerage and how you kind of broke in.
So my parents are in real estate. Were in real estate before me and are still in real estate. I was a pre-med major. Went to UC San Diego. Graduated in 3 years. Applied to med schools.
Oh, wow.
Only got into one decent one in Ohio, and I didn't want to go away to Ohio.
Ooh.
So I deferred it and said, okay, I'll reapply next year. And I came back to Downey, and I was a teacher, a substitute teacher in the district.
Nice.
And after a couple of weeks, I ended up being a permanent sub. I was a math teacher at Downey High.
Ooh.
At 21 years old.
That sounds like torture to me.
It was fun.
I could never do it.
It was fun.
Shout out to all the teachers out there, because
Yes.
I could never spend my whole day in a classroom.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. And then at the end of that year, I said, okay, if I'm going to continue doing this, I want to be at a middle school, because it was a little embarrassing being 21 years old. And at lunch, if I had to go to my car, security would stop me. Hey, what are you doing?
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's me, Michael. Oh, hey, I thought you were one of the kids. So I had to start wearing a tie every day, so I didn't.
Nice.
But I did it one more year. I was a math and science teacher at West Middle School, which is now Stauffer.
Nice.
Until one summer, my mom made the mistake of saying, would you help me be my transaction coordinator for the summer?
Dun, 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 dun. Okay.
And I said, oh, okay. Can I do some real estate besides that? Like, can I do an open house? Can I do my own thing too?
Yeah.
Sure. When you're not doing your job. She couldn't keep me at the desk long enough, and I sold 5 houses in 2 months.
Wow.
And I quit teaching.
Really?
Right there. Didn't tell them.
That was it?
Told them after I quit.
Nice.
And sold 52 houses in the year 2000. So I did 13 houses the last 6 months of 99.
Wow.
And 52 houses in 2000.
Jesus.
And just taken off since then.
And never looked back.
Never looked back. No.
Holy mackerel.
So that's how I got into this crazy business.
That's insane. So that was 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Market was, countrywide fast and easies. And
yes, but it was on the upswing.
It was on the upswing.
Yeah. Didn't get cuckoo with what you were saying with all the stated income loans till what, 2004, 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
And then started to show signs in 5. And of course, 6 was the best year. Sold 89 homes in 2006.
Wow.
39 in 2007.
Oh my God.
So,
that was the time, right? A dark, crazy time.
Turned off a faucet.
From
1 year to the other.
Isn't that? And it was like quick. I still remember Lehman Brothers shutting down, and that for me was like, we're in trouble, right? Like being a New Yorker and seeing that big multi-billion-dollar company get shut down.
Wow.
I was like, well, this is not good.
Yeah.
So you stayed in. So when you kind of got in and blew up that quick, did you have a team at that point? Like, did you have
I had
people helping you or
no. I had nobody.
You were working 24 hours.
Yeah. So I got married in 2000.
Okay.
And to give you an idea, on my just before then, I ended up getting an assistant because I had asked the receptionist, "Hey, could you go to an appraisal for me? Because I have an appointment coming. Do you mind going?" And then the phone rang, and my mom was like, "Where did so and so go?" I'm like, "Oh, she went to my appraisal to let the appraiser in."
Mom was
so she was not happy with that. So you're getting an assistant. Oh, okay, fine.
Oh my God.
So that sort of thing. So got an assistant, and basically it was myself and that one assistant for a couple more years.
Yeah.
And I had a TC, transaction coordinator,
Yep.
in the office at the time. And yeah, that was it until started to really, by 2003, 2004, I got a couple buyer's agents.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
And back then, the market, there was no technology the way we have it today, right? DocuSign and right, like back then it was probably still carbon copy 1003s, right? Like I remember when I got into the business, it was carbon copy 1003s.
Yeah. They did have that back then. The purchase contract had the 3 copies, press hard. Right? But yeah, it was a lot. I mean, scanning your stuff came into about maybe 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
But other than that, you did make copies of everything, had your big thick file.
Everything was in person. There, that was craziness. And so you navigate through that. Stayed so married, doing all those deals. What is your wife? Was she supportive? Was she working with you? Did you do any of that where she helped you out? Because
so so I was a teacher for 2 seconds. She was a teacher for 5 years.
Okay.
Until we had Ashley in 2003.
Gotcha.
And stay at home. In the before kids, she would come help here and there, but realized that wasn't a good mix. So
my wife and I can never work together.
Yeah.
Like we're really good not being in the same office together, and it works great. You know, some people like that. That's just not for me.
My parents.
Your parents, God bless. I don't know how they do it. And they have very different personalities too.
That's why it works.
That's why it works.
Yeah. He will keep everything organized.
Yep.
Keep her on track and keep her in the right lane, let's say.
Yeah.
And her just keep her talking in front of people.
Yeah. Just way two different personalities, right? Yeah. She's the high I and he's more structured, D and C and stuff like that.
Yes.
So it's interesting. So market crashes, your production goes way down.
Mm-hmm. But it comes back.
Yeah,
39, 45, back to 50-ish.
Nice.
Back to 60.
Okay.
So on.
That's pretty cool. And then you grew the team from there. Always been in the same location as far as there in Downey?
Since my first 6 months, moved there in December of 99, but basically I've been there all those years.
Yeah.
What happened was the market happened, and so all the buyer's agents went away, and it was just me and my assistant at the time, Armando.
Yep.
And I just said, hey, why do we do this? And made him a deal and, just give him a little piece of each buyer side sale and be my buyer's agent going forward, and got another assistant and just did it that way through those years. And, now have a couple more buyer's agents. Yes.
Yeah. So in those years, it was just survival, right? Like at least that's the way I remember it for myself. It was, we didn't know what was going to happen next. We knew that it was like the valve shut off, right? And it was craziness. You're like 60, 70, next year I'm going to do 100. And then it was 30, right? And you're like, oh boy, this is not the way I drew it up. Little similar to like this year. I think this year we were expecting, the run to slow but still continue, and then interest rates didn't cooperate.
Last year I did the most I've ever done, 105
transactions. Good job.
Yeah. This year, 81. So that's not
still
bad,
really good.
But it's about down 22, 23%, something like that.
Yeah.
And as an office, my dad and I went over stats. It's pretty much the same. So I'm kind of indicative of the overall market.
Yeah.
I wish I could figure out a way to not be that, but, to be above that, outperform the market.
I think the one thing, I think most agents is I think you're probably ahead of most agents. I think most agents are probably down 40%. Some are 50%. I think the fact that you guys are so well known, that you have an amazing reputation, right? Like, you're known throughout Downey. You've got a great database and network of people that it doesn't allow you to fall as far, right? Where a lot of people, especially if you got in the business in the last 5 years.
Yeah, that is tough.
This was a tough year for those people,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, I've talked to loan officers and agents and people who just got in the business, and they're like, this is the worst market. They think it's worse than '06. Do you think this is worse than '06?
No.
No, not even close?
Not even close yet.
Yeah.
Yet, I guess. But
no, I'm in the same boat, right? And a lot of people I talk to, a lot of people who lived through that, they're like, there's no way. Like, that was craziness, right? People couldn't get loans.
So real estate agent and loan officer are two different animals, I think.
Yeah.
So for me, the thing is, I just do the same things.
Okay, which is
I farm. I send mail outs to about 10 to 12,000 homes.
Okay.
Probably every month. I'm sending an email blast. Okay, that's probably the same. Send out an email blast once every couple weeks.
Yep.
My marketing person would want me to do it every week.
Yeah.
But I just think it's a little overboard.
Yep. I get them. They're good. I mean, you're not spamming at all.
Right.
So that's good.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And then what am I missing here? And then, social media has changed everything. I wish I can say I get a lot of business from social media.
Yeah.
I think it's just I'm staying in front of some clients.
Yep.
I think my audience is unfortunately agents.
Yeah.
On social media, which is okay.
Yeah.
But so if you're a real estate agent, you want to follow your clients and or on Facebook, friend your clients.
Yeah.
So that when you're posting stuff, they see you.
And it's not just other realtors or
Right.
other lenders who
Right.
are seeing your
Right.
stuff.
Which is okay.
Yeah.
And then doing open houses. I mean, that you still have to do open houses.
Remember when you didn't have to do open houses for when homes sold in like a day?
Yeah.
That was crazy. Now we have to do open houses again.
But open houses help.
Yes.
See, when they weren't selling and you weren't having to do it, when it's a regular market, an open house happens, you meet someone, they tell you what they're looking for, you slowly but surely find it.
Yeah.
And you go from there. That's normal.
Yeah.
As opposed to during the fast times, it's too fast.
Too fast.
They come in and they're interested. It's like, well, you and 9 other people have wanted me to write an offer for them.
Yeah.
And that's just,
it was like the video you did about the apple.
Yes.
I'm selling this apple.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what it was.
That's
really what it was.
Really what it was. But what I'm hearing from you is you said I just do what I do, right? But it's really all the basics. And I think a lot of people get enamored with trying to do all types of crazy things, right? But it's the mail, right? And it's being consistent with the mail.
Consistent.
I talk to agents all the time. We're like, I want to do a mailer. And I'm like, well, you have to do it every month.
Yeah.
Like, how long would an agent have to drop mail in order for them to start seeing some results? 6 months, 12 months, 18 months?
6 to 10 months.
6 to 10 months. So you might see nothing.
Yeah. You'll get someone that's interested because of maybe a property you put on that postcard.
Okay.
That piqued their interest. But in terms of a client calling because, hey, I noticed I've gotten some of your stuff. Could you come out and give me a free market evaluation to sell my home? It's going to be 6 months to maybe a year or more.
Yeah.
So you're getting consistency that they think you're the expert, you're the person, you're the specialist in that area. So
correct.
The one thing we didn't say about the basics is getting in front of your database.
Yeah.
So I'm not great at it. And if I get too busy with other things, I don't do it consistently enough.
Yeah.
But to touch every client, so to speak, in your database, let's say once a quarter, be really good.
Yeah,
That'd
for sure.
Be really good.
I know you've gotten really good at doing client events, right? Like I saw you did a Santa thing and
a Dodger thing,
right? Mm-hmm. Like, I think it's so, that's a gold mine, right? The people who already know, love, and trust you.
Yes.
The people who've already done business with you, they know Michael's going to do a good job. They know he's going to negotiate well. They know that he's going to be honest and direct and just really loving on those people and not forgetting about them.
Right.
I mean, it's, there's that stat that 60% of the people can't remember the name of the agent that they worked with, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's so important because we inherently chase the new business that we forget. You got to continue to love and nurture those people who've already done business with us.
Yes.
Because they have so many options.
Doing an event, I did coaching for a year, and that's where I got the idea about doing events. So I've done events in the past, and it just kind of fizzled, and I wasn't consistent, and I stopped doing it for a decade.
Yeah.
But
which is crazy to me, by the way, because you're so well known, right? Like if you do something and for most of your clients are in Downey. So if you do something at your office, like people are close to where they can come.
Sure, which is good.
It's great.
Yeah. But I didn't do it for a long time. And again, it was okay because I was busy doing other things and making sales and all that. But doing an event gives me the excuse to call people I know.
Yep.
That's the number one thing. The first Santa event, I had 12 people. That wasn't so good.
Yeah.
But I did text or call about 500 people.
Correct.
So that was something.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. This last year, I got about 35 parties that came by the Santa event.
Wow.
Which is, good.
That's really good.
Not as good as I would have hoped, but still in the right direction.
For sure. 100%.
But out of it, someone said, "Oh, I'm going to bring my grandson." Great. And then the morning of, I texted them, reminding them of the Santa event today.
Yeah.
"Oh, sorry, my grandson's sick." No problem. A week later, calls me. "Hey, so sorry I didn't make the Santa event, but can you help me buy a house?"
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. See,
So
and if you're not making the contact, people will say, "Oh, I was thinking about you," or I was going to call you, but you have to initiate that contact.
Yeah.
I really believe because you're out of sight, you're out of mind, and they're not going to think about you.
No. I have a problem with calling people because it's going to sound salesy.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm not that guy. I don't want to be sold. I can't tell you how many cold calls, right, from all sorts of industries and whatever I get in a day. How
many do you get in a day?
10?
I think I've asked you 10.
Probably 10.
Oh,
geez. I mean, we're talking lenders, termite, alarm companies.
Oh, wow.
Because the alarm companies want me to tell the new buyer about it and give me a $200 referral fee.
Wow.
You name it, right? The normal ones, it can vacation, come to a timeshare thing.
Car warranty.
Insurance, your health insurance is going to expire and let's get you into a new program. All that. So,
wow.
So I don't like it from that aspect. So that's why I'm not going to cold call. But someone I know, the one other thing I do is everyone that I've sold a house to, I do a market analysis of their home on the anniversary month, at least. It'd be nice if it was exactly the date, but it's not.
No, that's hard.
I'm not that disciplined. So it's at least that month, and I will send a email or text, or both, or mail it if it's been so long I don't have either because before email.
Yeah.
And just to say, "Hey Joe, this is wow. You bought a house for me 20 years ago. Can't believe it's been 2 decades.
Yeah.
Just wanted to reach out and let you know where the real estate market is at and what your home's value is."
Got it.
And it has a 1-page summary of market analysis of their home, and it's a handwritten note, or it's an email, or it's something in the text that's personal if I can.
Yeah.
And go from there. So my assistant helps me do the market analysis, but then I'm the one that's dishing them out, either email, text, mail, or phone call.
It's good. It's another touch, right? I think, and I'm the same way because I don't like to sound salesy, but you have to look for a reason to make the touch. Right. So you said coaching, and you're in the minority of people who's not a big fan of the coaching.
Okay.
Right. We've talked about this because I'm all pro coach, right? I'm like coach. Yes. But Michael's like,
I think it's good for most. The difference is I'm self-motivated. I'm just wound up. Yeah. So like I've got so much energy and I got my to-do lists in the morning. Got my to-do list at night for the next day.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't feel I need it. I mean, I'll give you an example from the coaching that came out of it was getting back to doing the client events.
Yeah.
those kind of things. I did the coaching because I said to myself, if in all these years I've done, somewhere between 70 to 100 transactions a year, I've averaged, let's say 75 a year.
Yeah.
And how come I can't get to the next level, let's say 125 to 150, 200? What could I do? That's why I got into coaching.
Gotcha. And what'd you learn?
It didn't happen.
Yeah.
I learned that I don't like to be told what to do, that I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
So for the money, I decided not to. But I do think for most people, they need someone to keep them accountable, like going to the gym and having a trainer.
Yes.
So
I'm a big fan of coaching, right? Because I am more like your mom, right? Like you have to reel me in every day. I need the checklist. I need the to-do list, and I'm not good at doing it because I'm like squirrel and I'm off, right? And all of a sudden you're like, wow, Joe just gobbled up 7 hours. But I think if you have the structure and the discipline and you have the checklist and you're good at that when you follow a system, right? Whether it doesn't have to be somebody else's system, it could be your system. As long as you're following the plan every day. Right. And I think that's all that matters.
Yeah.
I
mean, I know you wake up very early and have your morning routine. I do too. So I'm a morning guy.
Yep.
And I would say by 10 o'clock, I've done more by 10 o'clock than 80% of agents.
Really?
That's my opinion. But,
yeah.
So
most of them are sleeping until 10 o'clock. So they're not even awake at 10 o'clock. Yeah. Sorry, agents who sleep in.
It's okay.
I didn't mean, if you're offended by that, I was talking about you. I apologize. We're not going to cut that clip up, by the way. That's going to get cut.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. So talk to me about that, right? Like, I love the mornings. But what does that look like for you as far as like, what do you try to get done? Is it just setting up your day? Is it working on, property reports or writing offers? Like, what do you use that morning mostly for? High level. You don't have to go into like,
it's okay. It's just a punch list of the fires to put out, the things I need to delegate.
Okay.
That I try to get done, or the things that I have to do, have it all set out and try to do as much as I can in the morning.
Gotcha.
So I am an early riser, but I'm trying to usually run or walk in the morning. Write.
Yeah.
Like I know you think you do like journaling.
Yep.
My journaling is trying to write comedy.
Okay.
But doesn't
the
really.
comedy is not dead. It's coming back.
It's been
2023.
It's been there for 6 years.
2023 is the year we do a new comedy show.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I can't wait.
And then I, just have my morning routine and then try to get going and get others, my assistant, going.
So do you do a checklist? Like, are you big on checklists? Like, here's my list.
Yes. And the big ones.
Yeah.
And then, the must do's now, the projects that are in the works, and so on. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then you just try to delegate as much as you can and all of that fun stuff.
Yeah. Because there's real estate, there's personal finance stuff, there's properties maybe I own or managing.
Yep.
Those kind of things, take up time.
Yeah. Well, and running an office is not easy, right? So you have two kind of different pieces of the puzzle, right? Because you have your own personal production.
Yes.
Right. And then you have a big piece in helping at the office, right? Obviously, being the top producer in the office, you have to lead by example, and you're held to a different level of accountability. The broker owner in there is probably cracking the whip, right? Is that your dad?
No,
you the broker owner?
I mean, no, he's the broker owner.
Oh,
yes, he's the
but
broker
he's not
owner.
cracking the whip.
He's not cracking the whip.
He's not cracking the whip. No. But then you have to deal with agent stuff too, right?
Deal with agent. Marie
helps with a lot of that.
Marie Piccarelli, our manager, handles a lot of that. But yeah, I'm there for agents that need help.
Yeah.
A little bit of training, the office meetings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
what would you tell like your younger self, right? Like, so you first get in the business and you crush it. Five deals, you're like, I'm awesome. Second year, you do really, really good. What would you say is like one of the biggest differences from then till now? Like, as far as your time managing, or is it just team? because I think agents even struggle to get to 5 in a year, right?
Five
Like,
sales?
5 sales. Yeah. Like newer agents are like, how do I get to 5 in a year? What would you say was like something that helped you get to that start, like doing those 5s? Was it open houses, or was it like, I know you're on the 2 cell phones right now, but you probably didn't have 2 cell phones back then. But is it service? Is it, something particular you did?
So the only thing that's changed is now when it comes to buyer leads, Armando Martinez handles that.
Okay.
So, I mean, I really don't work with buyers.
Uh-huh. You do mostly the listings?
I do listings.
Yep.
And so if it's a buyer, I figure out, if I'm the quarterback, how fast I can pass it off to the running back.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So that I can keep going and get more listings.
Nice.
Okay. But nothing has really changed in that. In 1999, 2000, I had a book, a list with all the clients.
Yep.
Didn't even have an Excel spreadsheet. A list with all the incoming clients.
Okay.
And then behind that, a page alphabetized with 1 page per client that I would write notes for that client.
Really?
So what changed was, now instead of being that, it's, something like Follow Up Boss.
Yep.
Or Gmail.
Yep.
Or I got away from the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
From doing it. I did an Excel spreadsheet for a while. I got away from it. I hear some people still do, and I kind of wish I did.
Yep.
I'm not utilizing Follow Up Boss well enough. But in a perfect world, instead of doing what I was saying with a notebook, you would be doing it in Follow Up Boss.
Gotcha. So
you have to touch every lead that is an A client. You have to touch daily or every other day. Buyers.
Yeah.
Speaking of
buyers.
so that is for them to be doing.
Yeah.
So
I think that's interesting, right? Because for a lot of agents, they utilize the Post-it method. Do you know what the Post-it method is?
Post-its everywhere.
Post-its everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so they stick a Post-it and they're like, I got this lead. There it is. And I remember back in the day, I had this stack of Post-its and I was like, that's all leads. And it was basically all just money in the trash, right? Because I had no system. So for you, your system was just client page and whatever
a summary
notes.
of all the clients, and then a different page for each client that had details. But I'll tell you one thing that actually helped for someone that doesn't want to go to having stuff on their phone or their computer, but wants to have it, in writing.
Yeah.
Is to have a calendar. And have a calendar where 1 page is each day.
Yes.
So you can write your to-dos, let's say. And then also any incoming calls you can write down there.
Yep.
So at least you can remember that happened on the 18th.
Okay.
When you go back. And then maybe somewhere on that page, either daily or every other day or even weekly, you write down your best buyer leads or your best leads that you have to follow up with. Put that on that page and you can refer back to it. And as you go through the week, let's say the next Monday, you can go back through that calendar. Oh, yeah, that person called me on that day. Oh, I didn't call that person. Let's call them.
Yep.
So at least it's a central place. It's better than the Post-its, I can tell you that.
1,000%. So that's gold in this industry. I think so many of us don't have any system, right? And that you lose leads and you lose contacts, and ultimately you lose your reputation, right? Because you're not following up with people. And so I think that's really great advice, because I think in new agents or anybody out there, you need to have a system to keep yourself organized, right? So like I'm thinking of the old Franklin Covey books, right? Like where you just have one page and one page, and you just constantly, what I hear you say is that you're tracking everything.
Yes.
Right?
Tracking leads.
Yes. Yeah. Tracking leads and activity.
And activity, yeah.
And activity, because I think leads are gold, right? That's the most important thing. We're in the business of generating leads.
Yes.
And so often it's like, I don't know where the lead went, or I don't remember. So tracking the leads seems like from day one till now is still priority.
Yes.
Right?
For sure.
And then organizing your day and your time to making sure that you're doing the right activity, right? You're not wasting it away.
No. I mean, it would be escrows I have going, what listings and what do I have to do regarding my current listings, what buyers am I working with, what seller prospects do I have to follow up with, Marketing is a whole category by
It's a
itself.
whole nother animal. Yeah.
But it's
You
one
need
of
to do
it's
it,
one
yeah.
of the, let's say, spokes on the wheel.
Yep. I like that.
And then let's say personal stuff, and then property stuff, property management,
Yeah.
things I've got going on.
Gotcha.
That's my life in a nutshell right there.
Yeah.
I mean, those things. And yeah, you're right. The marketing part is a whole animal by itself, but it's, there's layers within that. But if you can stick to that, and then, to bridge from the calendar where you have all those leads
Yeah.
to like Follow Up Boss or another system, is just having either yourself or an assistant to go from the calendar where it's written down to get it in the computer.
Yeah.
And I know I sound way too simple, and but again, I'm saying for maybe an agent that doesn't have a system, that would be a starting point.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of agents are intimidated by a Follow-Up Boss, right? And you're intimidated by YLOPO or any of these other programs. So I'm a big believer in like the Excel spreadsheet. Like, you just need something to keep yourself organized.
Yes.
Right? Whether it's a notebook or Excel spreadsheet, which I used for years before we finally got into a CRM. And then I'll tell you, when we got into the CRM, it was torture. My team will tell you I'm still the worst note taker in the CRM. But it's a non-negotiable now, right? Like, you can't work for me if you're not utilizing that CRM, because we need, the information is so important, and you have to track that consistently.
And you have enough incoming and enough going on that you have to utilize it.
Yeah.
For sure. And then, yeah, the reason you want to go from having it in writing on that calendar to getting into a CRM of some sort is for the email blast.
Yeah.
Because you're going to forget about the person from 3 weeks ago, but if it's getting from that book into some type of CRM, when you go to do the email blast, that new person is going to get it.
Yeah.
So,
and now you're staying in front of them without you physically having to call them or hit them or visit them or whatever, pop bys.
So it's kind of like short term is what's going on in your daily life in that book.
Yep.
Versus long term, which is you're trying to get more leads in the future from email blasts, mailers.
Yeah. More nurture. That. I mean, you have to do both, right? You have to nurture, and then you also have to continue to prospect. Right. Cool. Well, we're going to take a quick little break, get some fluid, take a little break, and then we'll be back. Are you sick and tired of watching your annual insurance premiums go up every single year? If so, give my buddy Tim Jarvis a call at Comma Insurance for a free estimate and a look back at your insurance, whether it's home or auto. Tim is going to do a great job. He's going to shop around with different companies that he works with to make sure that you are getting the best deal possible and stop the bleeding of that payment going up each and every renewal. Tim Jarvis at Comma Insurance, he is the man. Give him a shout, 562-883-3944. That's Tim, 562-883-3944. Tell him Joe Soto sent you. Now back to the show. All right, so we're back. So 1,600 houses. You've seen a couple of different cycles, right?
Yes.
I mean, this is what at least number 2.
This would be possibly number 2.
Possibly number 2
on the downturn.
Yeah, I still don't think this is as bad as some people are making it out to be. But let's talk. So the one thing I love about this business is all of the chaos, right? I feel like it's a special breed of person that does this.
Yes.
Because the only constant is change. Right? I mean, there's always something different going on in real estate. It's never the same thing every single day. Every client is different. Every house is different. Every transaction is different. It's just wildly unpredictable.
That's what I like about this business, by the way. I like that.
Which I like. Keeps me on my toes. Some people hate it. Some of my team members are like, I wish it was just the same. I'm like, no, it's not here. Give me a couple of good stories, like maybe craziest thing you've seen in a house, at a property, or, because you always see these memes nowadays, right? Or like random things in houses, or usually they're bad real estate picks and any of that stuff. Crazy thing you've seen in a house, or crazy client story, like just random stuff.
I mean, craziest things. I mean, there's really bad stories, like the backstory, the guy hung himself in the living room.
Oh, Jesus.
Got a lot of those.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Like more than one?
More than one. I mean,
whoa.
I'm not saying specifically in the living room every time.
Yeah.
But I had to sell
Like
a house
Shawshank?
where he hung himself in the living room, and the ex-wife called me to sell the house.
Oh, my God.
That was a difficult one. Actually, even in the last year, there was a murder at the apartment building, and while we were in escrow. So
What?
things like that. Not at the apartment itself, but right there. And client still bought the house, bought the property, by the way.
Wow.
I don't know. We have the requests.
What's the longest repair request? Have you had the longest I've seen is 27 items that a client asked for. Have you seen somebody ask for more than 27 somewhere?
Probably in that range.
Jesus.
And my goodness, if you're 27.
27.
Yeah, I always say you can get an inspection, and 100 people see that same inspection. You're going to get 10 people that will be like, my compadre is a contractor, no big deal.
Yeah.
I won't even do an inspection. 10 people on the other side will ask for every damn thing on that list.
Yep.
And the 80% in the middle, it's based on their life experience. It's based on, maybe they unfortunately saw someone, had a family member drown in a pool, and so they want that safety fence around the pool, the self-closing gates on the side, or they have some electrical problems in previous homes, so they want that electrical panel to be airtight.
Interesting.
But anyways, I'm going to say, requests. I've had it where I sold a house to I have to say it like this. I sold a house to a Hispanic family.
Uh-huh.
And they wanted to do a feng shui inspection.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's not normal.
That's not normal.
The Puerto Ricans don't do that.
Okay. Yeah, no.
No. Yeah.
So, home inspection.
I don't even really know how to spell feng shui, if I'm being totally honest.
I think I do, but it's not how it's not how it sounds, by the way. Or I'm saying it wrong. But yeah, so a home inspection back then was probably $500, and the feng shui inspection cost $2,000.
What?
And these people did it on one house, did the feng shui, didn't buy the house. The feng shui master did give them a discount on the next house, $1,500, and on the third house, $1,200.
No way.
So that's weird. But you got to understand everyone's beliefs are different, and that's all good. What else? I mean,
I'm in the wrong line of work. How do I become a feng shui master?
Right? So it involved a lot of maps. They sketched the house. We had compasses going on, compasses that didn't make sense to me.
Really?
Anyways, it was all good. I mean, it laid out on the kitchen counter. Wow. Yeah.
That's wild.
I would say a good story in the last year or so. I mean, there's just so many with people. People are just so crazy, different. How about this one? I got an appointment to go possibly list this person's house.
Uh-huh.
And her husband had been a doctor, and he was my doctor. So I had a lot of problems as a kid.
Yeah.
And before the age of 2.
Oh, wow.
And so basically at 3 weeks old, this person, my mom brought me into the doctor's office in 1976, okay, at 3 weeks old.
Jeez.
And this guy, she had taken me to other doctors and said, oh, it's just colic, go home or whatever.
Uh-huh.
This doctor took one look at me, walked out the room, came back in the room, and said to my mom, here's the address to go to Children's Hospital in Los Angeles. Don't go home. Go straight. Don't call your husband. Just go straight there, and you can call him then. And basically, I had a congenital defect that required 2 years of surgeries and having a colostomy and feeding tube and all that. And this guy, if he didn't, I would have died.
Wow.
So that's the backstory. Now I end up at this lady's house, and it was her husband that
doctor
that saved me. So I tell her this story along with her daughters, and tell her this story, and quite frankly, I told her a little better than I just did to you, and I started tearing up a little, and so did they.
Wow.
Later in the conversation, when it comes to commission, she says, what do you do for commission? How does that work? What are the closing costs involved?
Yeah.
I tell her. She turns around and says, oh, okay. Is that the best you can do? After all, my husband saved your life.
She pulled a save your life card.
So
What'd you say?
I said, pretty much that's what I can do. And I'm honored to be in your home.
Yeah.
Your husband saved my life. So I'm honored to have the opportunity, but this is the best I can do. So,
oh my God.
I didn't get the listing, and she sold it to an agent that a neighbor knew that the house was going to come for sale, and that neighbor wanted to buy it. So,
gotcha.
Yeah,
so it wasn't that cold-blooded.
It wasn't too bad, but still, gosh.
It's a cold-blooded industry, man. This business will chew you up and spit you out. I mean, it's wild, and you hear stuff like that all the time. I had a client whose mom was in the hospital. A realtor's mom was in the hospital, and the client called me up and said, "Hey, we found a house we like, but the realtor's at the hospital with her mom." I was like, "Well, just give her a little bit of time. She'll call you back." They went and wrote an offer with the listing agent.
Oh my God!
And mom passed away the next day.
Oh.
And it was like mom was dying, and people are just so emotional when it comes to this business. I feel like a lot of what we do is managing the emotions, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
there's so much emotion in selling a house, especially if they've been in a house for a long time,
Yes.
right? They're attached to that property.
Yes.
I feel like the craziest thing I ever saw was the start of the pandemic. There's no open houses, and then open houses are stopped, right? Real estate's not essential. And then they say you can do an open house, but you basically have to wear a hazmat suit.
Yes.
You can't touch anything. Right? You had to open up all the doors and cabinets.
Yes.
And people were lining up in the street to buy that house. Did you ever think that was humanly people would go in and either buy a house sight unseen or buy a house you can't even touch anything. People were literally walking around like this.
Gloves, booties. I mean, that was okay.
Peed forms.
The peed form, yeah. So it was okay. The interesting part about that was, doing Zoom calls or FaceTime showing buyers' houses. That was kind of fun. I like that. So did have a couple of people that bought it literally by seeing, FaceTiming or Zooming with them.
Really?
To show them the house. I mean, obviously during the inspection they came and got to see the house, but
yeah, but they were writing an offer 25, 50 grand above list price.
Right.
And had never walked in the door.
Correct.
They didn't know the feng shui at all.
No.
They had no idea about the feng shui.
No.
Yeah, see, that's crazy.
Yeah. But you said earlier that even, the ups and downs. And yes, you have to be even keel. You have to figure out a way for the highs not to get to your head too high and the lows not to get to you. Yeah. So I do have that. And I mean, you've been in the business a long time. You must have that. I mean, we all, if you've been through it, you have that ability. So, and I think those that succeed, have that.
Yeah.
So
they used to be really high and low. I was a hot mess for a long time. And then I realized I don't control a lot, right? And you get better at organizing your stuff. So you have very few little of those moments.
The other thing, I guess, big difference between 23-year-old me and 46-year-old me would be the beginning of my career, I would just jump. Like, oh, you want to see a house at 9 o'clock at night? Let's go.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, one time I actually, to help out, I was a notary at the time. I flew from LAX to San Jose to sign the loan docs.
Wow.
Because one of the co-borrowers couldn't come. So I just got in the airplane, signed in the bar in San Jose, and got back on an airplane. I wouldn't do that today.
No.
Or when the client's just like, can you come meet with me now? It's really important. Before I would just jump.
Yeah.
Now it's like I have found those that have that little respect for your time end up being the ones that give you a hard time, and it wasn't worth it anyways.
The whole time through. So true. No, it's true. So I'm the same way, right? I've always been yes. And then I feel as my daughter's gotten older, right? So you have one in college. Ashley's in sophomore, junior?
Yeah, second year.
Second year. And I feel like as Brooklyn has gotten older, I realized that all those yeses caught up to me. It was like one day a couple of years back, right? And I was like, she's going to be going to college. And I missed out on a lot. You ever feel that way? Like you ever have that moment, like maybe when she went to college where you were like, I went and did that notary signing in San Jose instead of doing the family thing that I probably should have done.
So I don't. She wasn't born.
At the time?
She was not born.
That doesn't make it right.
No, it doesn't make it right. I actually don't have too many regrets. Back when they were really little, Wednesdays I took off.
Nice.
I did not work on Wednesdays. We'd end up going to Disneyland.
Really?
Back in the day where you can actually have a pass and go whenever you wanted.
Nice.
So we'd go to, Wednesdays I took off. And then later years, people, even though the name of our company is 24-Hour Real Estate, people aren't necessarily doing that much at 9 o'clock at night, and I'm home. So, I'm home at a decent time. The flexibility, I'm crazy in the morning, right?
Yeah.
So that way I can be there in the evening, and the late nights are less. I try to make it to 2 nights a week late.
Okay.
So
yeah, see, and I'm the same. I'm the same way, right? Like I became an early bird because I had little kids, and they didn't sleep. And then I realized that if I'm working in the morning, so you'll see, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, but I'm not missing out on family time, right? They're sleeping, or they're getting ready for school. Yeah,
or they're in school, right?
It was more important for me to be home in the evening, right? Because I could be and be present. I think that's a big thing a lot of people miss out on is, I get home, but I'm on my phone or I'm checking email. Like I do a really good job in shutting that off when I walk in the door.
I don't.
You don't?
So I guess.
Well, you've got 2 phones.
I guess when it comes to that, I am in an industry where response time matters.
Yep.
Okay. So it is. So they've gotten used to it. Little bit of resentment probably.
Yeah.
So that would be the one negative.
Yep.
That I am home. I may be home, but sometimes I'm on that phone doing that. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty good about very rarely will I check email or do any of that stuff. It's just a lot of times I can't fix it. I'll fire off a response every once in a while, but I'm not in it the way I used to be. I mean, I would come home and open up the laptop, right? And it was just, I never shut it off. Right. So I think I do a better job. Kim Soda will tell you I don't do a great job, but I feel like I've made improvements. So that's what I got. But it's about balance, right? Like just trying to figure out that balance and give the family some time and give the business what you can to continue that growing, right? Because I always joke in real estate, and I just told a client this yesterday. Her loan funded or recorded, and I called her up, and she goes, "Hey, Joe, how are you doing?" I go, "I'm super sad." She goes, "Why?" I go, "Because I just got laid off. I now have no job because you found a home. So I need another client." She started laughing. She goes, "I see what you did right there, Joe." Right? But that's one of the challenges with this industry is there's no there's database, right? But there's no residual income. My brother-in-law, who's a financial planner, is like, you should have gotten into insurance 10 years ago. You'd have this, and this. For us, it's next deal.
Where's the next deal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you ever feel like that gets to be a lot, right? I think we talked, you mentioned, investment property, and like that's the way to have maybe
I think
other income.
I think so, because you're like, for example, you're really good with making sure to manage your money, and for me too. My dad basically first few paychecks was like, there's a couple things that are going to happen here. One is you're going to set up an IRA, like a SEP IRA. So, the maximum you could put in it, you're putting in it. You should put it in it.
Yeah.
That was 1999, 2000, and I've been really good about that.
Nice.
The second part, and I know for many people it's whatever their example. So I had a good example when it comes to this.
Yeah.
Is they own property.
Yep.
So I wanted to own property. So, and now that I've been doing it for a long time, it's nice that there is income in that account. That account, even after paying those mortgages, it slowly goes up over time.
Yep.
And, the payment is $1,300 and the initial rent was $18. And now it's 2,500. Is the rent.
Yep.
So a lot of those examples, and so if you have more of those, someday they'll be paid off.
Yep.
And someday that'll be some income. So I don't have to worry about money as much.
That's a good example, because I think a lot of people look at real estate and they want to be making $2,000 a month profit, right? But that's not reality.
No.
Reality is you're going to buy a house and the profit month one, it might not be profitable at all, right? I mean, it might break even.
Right.
But over time, right, that's where rents continue to go up.
Yeah. Okay, let's give one more example.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I thought of this. The first duplex I ever bought, 98. 2-bedroom, 1-bath each in Downey, bought for $190. And it was just market value, by the way. It wasn't a deal.
Yeah.
The rents on both of them would be $700 each. So $1,400 would be total. The mortgage, FHA, I put 3% down at the time. It was 3%.
Yeah.
The mortgage was $1,600.
Oh, wow.
And the rents coming in were $14. But still, that was okay.
Yeah.
Okay, if you kept that property and you didn't refinance it, now we're talking 24 years later, you'd still have a mortgage.
Yeah.
But the mortgage is probably going to be like $80,000 at this point. But your payment would be $1,600. Maybe with property taxes, now it's, let's say, $1,900.
Yep.
The rents from that today would be $4,200 minimum.
Whoa.
$2,100 each. So you'd be making $4,200, and your payment would still be like $1,900.
That's crazy.
So and you put 3% down.
That's an insane ROI. And then if you think about, like, again, having that financial security, right? That home's going to be paid off. You didn't pay $1 towards it, right? The tenants paid it off, essentially. And so now you're banking that money every month, and you do that 5, 10, 15 properties, right? Like, it's a pretty nice retirement.
Right. So, a good goal would be one a year, or, that'd be nice. So
that's really cool. And I think a lot of people get scared of owning rentals, right? And there's fear in regards to, people tend to focus on all the bad things that could happen, right? Like, I don't want to own a rental because of this.
And my answer, have a plumber, have an electrician, and maybe have a handyman.
Okay.
And if you can find someone that does all of that in one shot, even better.
Nice. Okay?
But if you have that and you have an issue, you just take care of it. If you just take care of it and have a good attitude about it, you'll be fine. I know some people that get all worked up. Oh, it was the tenant that made that garbage disposal. It was the tenant that made the toilet or bathtub clog with their hair or whatever.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Take care of it. But if you have a good plumber, electrician, or handyman, you'll be fine. And, some people don't like to deal with the tenant personalities or deal with tenants. And
do you do property management?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So that helps a little bit as far as like weeding out the people.
Yes. But it just comes down to dealing with people. So if you're okay at dealing with people, which I think I am.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
No.
That's interesting, because so many people are just, I don't know. And they worry about the laws and the rent control. Like, people just look for excuses,
And my answer to rent control is, now it gave me an excuse to raise your rent every year. Because if I get behind the 8 ball and I don't do it for several years, I didn't take advantage of the maximum I could raise your rent.
Yeah.
And I've never had it where a tenant, got upset about it. It's just like, okay, it is what it is. And if they go out and try and seek what they could get, they probably are going to find that where they are is actually maybe a little bit below.
Yeah, so for sure. Let's talk a little bit about listings. So I know you do a lot of listings.
Yes.
Primarily listings. You don't want to be driving around to Timbuktu showing properties, that's not the highest and best use of your time. We went from an extreme seller's market to a little bit cooler, right? What advice would you give to people who are looking to sell their home in the next 3 to 6 months, as far as getting your home ready, as far as the market and expectations? Like, to the seller, what advice would you give them if they were trying to maximize they want to maximize revenue, right? I think that's what every seller wants. But
Well, they want to get the highest price for their house.
highest price, least amount of pain, and the highest price.
So yeah, my advice after the normal things of preparing your house to get it ready and all that, but is price it correctly and let the market take care of itself.
Okay.
That is a good thing to say to a seller in any market.
Yeah.
And so the other thing, as an agent, you have to give them the right expectations.
Okay.
So a year ago, I was telling sellers, we're going to list it today on Tuesday or Wednesday, and we're going to let everyone see it. And by Monday night, we're going to make our offers due, and we're going to get offers. And Tuesday, we're going to counter the 3 best and go from there.
Yeah.
And I mean, everyone was, of course, happy.
Uh-huh.
And now we want to price it correctly to get the most activity so that we can hopefully get an offer or 2 and sell.
Yeah.
And I talk a lot about, how long it should take. Like right now, it should take about 22 days to a month.
Okay.
It's probably about a month. I haven't done the stats. So let's say it's a month. And so also I go over a lot about what you should expect in the first 2 weeks.
Okay.
You're going to have this.
That's where the panic level's the highest, is the first 2 weeks?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, well, if you do it right, there is no panic because there's buyers coming through that door.
Okay.
Which will then translate to an offer, which will then hopefully get us in escrow.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but I do talk a lot about, we want to get this many showings so we can get an offer. And if we're not getting that many showings, we need to quickly adjust because maybe we missed the mark.
Gotcha.
If I say to somebody we should be listed at 800 and they insist on 850.
Yeah.
Even though the data is around 800-ish.
800,
and a really nice house is, let's say, 830.
Yeah.
But they think their house is nicer than the nicest house and they should start at 850.
Of course. Everybody's house is nicer than the last one.
I will explain to them, we can go for that. We can try, but we need to come down to what I'm saying sooner than later.
Yeah.
Or you will literally, there goes the boat. It left the harbor.
Wow.
And so that answer right now is 10 to 14 days. It runs its course.
Yep. The market will tell you what a house is worth, right?
In a couple weeks. In my marketplace. I mean, I guess if I worked, Newport Beach, Corona Del Mar, Laguna Beach, where they're way higher price point, you're not going to see that in 10 to 14 days. But in my place where it's the average, the median price is, let's say, 8 to 850. It takes 2 weeks at most.
So pricing is
the number one.
The number one thing. Right. And I think we were in that weird market where people were, last home was sold for $9 and I'm going to list mine for $1 million. Right. And I think that cooled quite a bit for people going, yeah, that's those days are you waved, right?
Yeah.
That ship sailed. See you later.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah,
but,
it was.
But it's over.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, right? Because I think setting the right expectation is key because people still think their house is the nicest, way nicer than the last one that sold, right? I have this upgraded Formica countertop or whatever it is. It's always that, right? It's always, you're like, oh, okay, that's not an upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what happened in 2007.
Yeah.
Right? And so the analogy I had in my inside was like I was chasing a ball falling down the stairs. And I was having to reach for that ball, and I never quite got there because it was in front of me.
Yeah.
And so what would be best to do in a really falling market would be take one step below on the staircase and wait for the ball to come to you as opposed to chasing it.
Oh, I like that.
I mean, that's what it felt like in 07, 08 for those, for that couple of years. But now that's not the case. And I mean, the good part right now is homes will sell. Homes are selling. You just got to price it right. Yeah. And it will sell. Like I'm not worried when I list something that it won't sell. No. If you listen to my price.
There's not a lot of inventory, right? It's not like there's, back in 07, 08, like it was an inventory thing too, right? Like there were so many homes on the market and nobody qualified. I remember I was trying to write loans and nobody would qualify for a mortgage. So that was the dilemma, and that's why we saw prices coming down the way they were. I I haven't seen the influx of inventory.
Not yet.
You know,
No, so it's still really low. I was listening to CAR has a podcast, Housing Matters, I think that's what it's called. And so the one they dropped this week, you know, the supply is still like three months
yeah,
of supply as opposed to where it was like 1.9. So it's still really, really, really low. Yeah, I mean, back then, for every 10 homes, you wanted to be priced the best, and only 1 in 10 were going to sell.
Wow.
And then once you sold, then the other 9 looked at you and went, oh, I need to come down to that.
Yeah.
Well, now all 9 are at that same price, and that doesn't look great either.
Yeah.
So then one of those had to come down a little bit to look like they were the best price home, and so on. And
that's what happened.
And that's what happened. Yeah, that's not this market. And
No.
there's no homes for sale. So if you price it right and it looks attractive to a buyer,
Yeah.
it'll sell.
Gotcha. Well, I love that advice, and I think we're going into a new year, and 2023 is nobody knows, right? I hate predictions. People ask me, what do you think rates are going to do? And what do you think this? Like, nobody predicted 7+% rates this year, right? So who knows? I think what you said was really true in you have to do the same activity, right? Like, keep doing those farming and doing your client events and seeing people in open houses, right? Doing the basics over and over and over and being really consistent. I think that's, as simple as that sounds, that's what has made you so good.
Yeah.
Right. And you've just been doing it for a long time at a really high level. So it's awesome to spend some time with you. I'm grateful that you came and spent a little time. We talked a little bit about business. We didn't get into all your baseball stuff, but maybe next time we'll talk about your world travels of baseball and all of that fun stuff.
Sounds good.
Instagram handle, what is it? Berdelis?
Michael Berdelis.
At MichaelBerdelis. I know you're on TikTok and
At Michael Berdelis.
YouTube and all of that fun
Yes,
stuff. See,
yes.
it's easy to have a unique name. If you're Joe Soto, there's multiple Joe Sotos. It's terrible.
There's a UFC fighter or something like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
One Bad Mofo Soto is his name.
Oh my goodness.
Joe One Bad Mofo Soto. We should tag him in this. He's ruining my SOI, my search engine.
He probably is. So I told my son that I was going to do a podcast today.
Yeah.
And he said, who? And I said, oh, I'm doing Joe. You're doing Joe Rogan? No, Joe Soto.
No,
podcast.
definitely not Joe Rogan.
Not that Joe.
Nope. So it's like almost there, but very different.
Yes.
Joe Rogan podcast is awesome, by the
Yes.
way. It's super good. He just had my boy Goggins on it, which
Yes, he did.
I love David Goggins.
Yes.
He's super duper awesome. But I appreciate you. Super grateful that you spent some time with us. Thank you to everybody out there for listening. Thank you for Comma Insurance. Tim, you are the man. Give Tim a shout. He will take great care of you. We love you. We appreciate you. Make it a great day.